With the passive pronominal verb, okay, the subject is not a person or an animal. So it's an inanimate subject. It's not a person or an animal. Okay. And the subject actually does not perform the action of the verb, but rather is subjected to it. मतलब subject usually performs the action, but in this case वो subject पे ही action होती है. Okay. That's why it's called as passive subject and inanimate. It's not a person or animal. For example, I use this one a lot. Ça se voit. It means it shows. For example, ces jours-ci, Opel a commencé d'étudier presque 6 heures chaque jour. Et ça se voit. Opel, did you get what I said?
Yeah.
Opel has started to study 5 to 6 hours each day. And I'm saying, ça se voit. It shows. Like generic actions. Le vin rouge se boit chambré. The red wine is drunk at room temperature. Okay? Chambré. Le vin rouge se boit. Or yeah, you can also use this for asking question. Comment ça se traduit? How is it translated? Okay? How is it said? Or how is it translated? Okay? This is actually past participle of the verb. Ça se dit comment. So, for example, you can say there's something in English and you want to ask how is it said in French. To be pregnant, ça se dit comment en français? You want to know how it is said in French. Okay. Did you get the usage when to use this ça se dit comment?
Me.
Yeah, this is past participle which we have not studied yet, but we will very soon, like in next week most likely. Now you can also say ça se traduit. How is it translated? You can also say ça s'écrit comment? Ça s'écrit comment?
First day when we were writing our name.
Alphabet सीखने के बाद हमने we were doing this. Ça s'écrit comment? How is it written? Okay. How is it written? So see, the thing is, action is being performed on the subject. Here it is sa. How is it written? Rather than sa performing the action is performed on that. How is it written? You get the distinction between why it is passive.
Yeah, it's there is no subject. The action is not being performed on the subject. The action is just happening, and that's why you're using secret.
Actually, subject is there. It's sa, but it's a passive subject because subject is not performing the action. The action is being performed on the subject. The subject is sa. It means it. How is it? How is it written? How is it? How is it said? How is it translated? Okay.
Passive subject here.
Le vin.
Okay.
Le vin rouge basically, but ठीक है, le vin, red wine या wine. Le vin rouge se boit chambré. So wine is not drinking. You are drinking wine.
Right.
Usually subject performs the action, but यहाँ पे उल्टा होता है passive में. Somebody is taking action on the subject itself.
Okay, good.
So just remember this as passive pronominal. Why? Because the subject is a generic thing. The subject is not something specific. Okay? Subject is something which is not a person or an animal. Okay? It's a generic. It can actually be an object, but it cannot be a person and an animal. Is that clear? Okay. This is one of those rare topics where I'm okay if you remember sa is like it or that. For example, je déteste ça. Even if you say that, it means the same thing, right? I hate that or I hate it. When you are speaking, you can use sa, but when you are writing, you are supposed to write sala to be more, formal. Do both mean the same, it or that? Here also it means the same thing, it or that. Now, final category. And this is very easy to understand because there is nothing to understand. Subjective pronominal. These verbs are neither reflexive nor reciprocal. So why are they pronominal? Nobody knows. For idiomatic or historical reasons, they just happen to use the pronominal forms. They are pronominal. Why? किसी को नहीं पता, मतलब पता है बट वो आदमी मर गया. Je dois m'en aller. I have to leave. I have to go now. मतलब अभी uncomfortable feel कर रहा हूँ तुम्हारे साथ डेट पे, तो I can use this. Je dois m'en aller. मुझे जाना है अभी, जाने दो मुझे प्लीज. ठीक है. So that's where you use s'en aller to leave. Okay, but उसका भी एक context है that you have to leave more or less. Se douter de, to suspect. Se douter de is to suspect. Basically, use it like reflexive. Consider these are reflexive. That's it. There's no difference between this and reflexive. Only problem is you cannot reason why it is reflexive. Understood? So these are something that you just have to remember. They are used as phonominal. Important, huh? So souvenir is to remember. Okay, so I use it a lot. As I said, without knowing that why it is reflexive. Je me souviens, I remember. Je me souviens, mon enfance. Enfance is a childhood. I remember my childhood. Negative. Okay, let's talk about negative. In the negative sentences, we usually put ne and pa around the conjugated verb, right? Is that correct? Here also, we will put ne and pa around the conjugated verb, but conjugation will include the reflexive pronoun. Okay? For example, we are not getting married to each other. How will you say that?
No, Mario.
वो मेरा फेवरेट है ना, इसलिए मैं ऐड कर देता हूँ. मतलब और उससे पॉसिबिलिटी ओपन भी रहती है ना. ठीक.
हाँ, आगे कभी कर सकते हैं.
Nu, Mario, pa, saswa. We are still putting na and pa around the conjugated verb. Only difference is we have a reflexive pronoun which is considered as a part of conjugation. Okay? We don't hate each other. Zoshi master et ses étudiants. They don't hate each other. So you're speaking in a third person narrative. Il ne se déteste. So this then becomes for emphasis, and we still repeat the subject.
Okay.
You can skip it, but I think it's better if you put it again, because just to make it more clear, what are we talking about? Okay.